They thought she was just another quiet recruit, one of the ones who never spoke up, never drew attention, never challenged anyone. They thought she was harmless. They thought she was small. They were wrong. The moment they put hands on her, they didn't realize they were touching a storm that had been trained to move in silence and to strike with precision. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. The training yard was a harsh place, sun blazing down on gravel and sweat. A constant roar of shouted commands and gritted teeth.
Oh no.
Recruits moved in lines, shoulders squared, eyes forward. Every step was measured. Every breath was controlled. They were being built into soldiers, but the process was brutal. The weakest moments were often the ones that were punished the hardest. She stood at the edge of the group, arms crossed, head slightly bowed. Her name was Mara Lee. She spoke so rarely that when she did, it felt like the words were expensive, like she had to save them for something important. She wasn't trying to be mysterious. She was trying to survive. Mara had joined because she wanted a purpose. She wanted to be strong. She wanted to stop feeling like she was always waiting for permission to exist. But she also knew what the world did to quiet people. It assumed they were weak. In a place like this, assumptions could get you hurt. The recruits were rough, not the kind of rough that came from fear and competition. They pushed each other, tested boundaries, tried to prove they belonged. A group of them had singled out Mara early on, not because she did anything wrong, because she didn't fight back. They called her ghost behind her back. They mocked her for being quiet. They touched her without asking. A rough shove here, a grabbing hand there. It was a pattern that had been allowed to continue because no one believed it mattered. Mara's eyes stayed calm. But inside, she felt the familiar burn of anger, the kind that didn't flare quickly, but stayed slow and hot. She didn't want to be the kind of person who broke. She didn't want to be the kind of person who lashed out and became the thing the world expected, but she also didn't want to be used. That morning, the yard was alive with noise. A drill sergeant's voice cut through the air like a whip. The recruits were lined up for a physical test, and the pressure was thick enough to taste. The sun turned the gravel into a furnace. Sweat slid down Mara's neck. Her hands were steady, but her heart pounded like it wanted to escape. Recruit stepped in front of her, blocking her path. He smirked. "You're in the way, Ghost." Another laughed. "Yeah, move it." Mara didn't move. The first recruit reached for her shoulder. It's just a quick shove. A claim. A demonstration of dominance. Mara's breath hitched. Her fingers curled around the strap of her gear. She felt the world narrow down to that moment. Her body, his hand, the heat of the sun, the eyes watching. She didn't want to hurt him. She didn't want to become a story. But the memory of a different life flashed through her mind. The life before she came here. The life where she had been trained to respond without thinking, to move without hesitation, to protect without permission. She was SEAL combat trained. Case secret she had kept buried for years, hidden beneath layers of quiet and control. The moment the recruit's hand touched her, something in her snapped not into rage, but into clarity. Her body reacted like it had been waiting for this. She shifted her weight, smooth and controlled, and in the same motion, she broke free. The recruit's eyes widened, the smirk disappearing. He hadn't expected resistance. He hadn't expected skill. He hadn't expected her to be anything but a quiet target. Mara's movements were precise, almost gentle. She didn't strike with the violence of anger. She struck with the efficiency of someone who had done this before. In a few seconds, the recruit was disarmed, unbalanced, and on the ground. The others froze. A hush fell over the yard. The drill sergeant's voice cut through the silence, sharp and questioning. What the hell was that? Mara stood still, breathing steady. Her eyes met the sergeant's without flinching. The other recruits stared at her like they were seeing a ghost for the first time. She could have lied. She could have said she lost her balance. She could have apologized, swallowed her pride, and stayed invisible. But she didn't. "I won't let anyone touch me without permission," she said quietly. The words were small, but they landed like a punch. The yard erupted into murmurs. Some recruits looked angry. Others looked ashamed. A few looked impressed, like a new kind of respect had been born in the silence. The drill sergeant stepped forward, his gaze intense. "You're a quiet one." Mara nodded. Sir. He studied her for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He nodded back. Not approval, not praise, but recognition. He said, "Good. Keep your head down. Keep your hands ready." Later, as the day ended and the sun dipped low, Mara walked past the yard with her gear slung over her shoulder.
Oh.
The gravel crunched beneath her boots. The air cooled. The world felt different. She didn't feel powerful. Not in the way the recruits assumed. She felt something quieter. She felt seen. The other recruits had learned something that day. Quiet wasn't weakness. Silence didn't mean surrender. And strength didn't always announce itself. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. Mara didn't need anyone to cheer for her. She didn't need anyone to understand her. She just needed to know she could stand up for herself. And that was enough. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments. If you believe quiet strength deserves respect, subscribe for more stories from Whispered Words, because the strongest people are often the ones who speak the least.